7 rounds to go in the A-League and it gets underway tonight. Hello once again to Phil Moss. Phil, Melbourne City travel to Wellington and could jump to second, albeit temporarily.
Yeah, morning Benny. Big game for Melbourne City. They put the Mariners to the sword last week at home, which was important because the Mariners are propping the table up. But Wellington second last night, they now have to go away from home and do it to one of the lowly teams if they're serious about some silverware this year. But, you know, they're in good form. I thought they woke up at half-time last week and really put on a performance second half.
And it's a big game in terms of the Golden Boot as well.
That's right. If we're honest, Fornaroli should have put the Golden Boot to bed last week. He could have had double figures himself. But he'll be bitterly disappointed, and this week, no doubt, he'll come out breathing fire. And he's got Aaron Moy, who's been involved in something like 26 of the 50 goals that his side has scored this year, with, I think, 9 goals or 7 goals and the rest in assists. It's an amazing record for a number 10 and a midfielder, but Fornaroli just feeds off him, and it's an incredible partnership.
Could have had double figures. How long since we've had 10 in a game?
It's been a while, but it was one of those games last week for Fornaroli.
In the other game tonight, the Wanderers host the inform and free-scoring Perth Glory. Who's the form team of the comp at present? Do you think it's Perth or Adelaide?
This is an interesting one. I mean, if you look at Adelaide, they were last propping up the table in November. They're now third within striking distance of top spot, which is an amazing run considering all the pressure they were under early in the season. Perth have 15 points from their last 18, scoring 20 goals in their last 6 games. I mean, that's an incredible turnaround from what they were like in the first 5 rounds of the season. So you have to give Perth the nod at this stage of the season, simply because they're just scoring freely and putting everyone away. And don't forget that some of their scalps were Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne victory, and they drew with Melbourne City. So there's some big scalps in there as well.
Certainly are. 3v2 tomorrow when Adelaide are at home to Brisbane, and the at home might be the key aspect to that, because when they play at Cooper Stadium they are on the verge of unbeatable. Yeah,
they are. They've got an amazing record, but the only one who questions that record is Brisbane. They've got a good record down there, 7 wins from their last 8 visits to Coopers. So that will certainly have Adelaide looking over their shoulder, but they've been in great form as well. Obviously, we just spoke about their run. Brisbane need a reaction from last week. To go to Perth and cop 6 when you're fighting out for the top 2 positions and ACL qualification is not a good result. And they've had a couple of hiccups this year where they've conceded a lot of goals in games, Brisbane. So they really need a reaction in this one, and they need to go down to Adelaide and re-stamp their authority on this league.
You speak of the ACL. Our 2 representatives in the ACL this year play against each other. Melbourne victory up against Sydney FC. Do you expect the coaches to rotate their players, and in that event, who has the better depth out of those 2?
Well, I think, Sydney have obviously had the travel and the bad result over in Japan, so mentally and physically they'll be more drained than Victory. Victory will be drained physically, but mentally they'll be up after a great result over Shanghai SIPG. But I think Graham Arnold's left about 4 or 5 of his starting 11 from last week's derby at home, so they'll be fresh, but the logistics of keeping them within the momentum of the team is difficult in ACL time. Kevin Muscat's obviously got Ben Kalfala and Finkler to come back into the team, so they'll be fresh and potent. So it's going to be a tough one. It'll really depend on just how much the ACL's taken out of both squads this week.
You're in again tomorrow, so we can discuss the Mariners-Jets F3 derby then, but otherwise enjoy the A-League action, mate.
Good on you, Benny.